Let's call to order this July 6th regular Newton Falls Council meeting. And ladies and gentlemen, we encourage full participation in our meeting by the public. However, in order to conduct an orderly business meeting, your vocal participation is limited to the time allotted to you when you approach the microphone in order to address the council. If you speak out of turn during a period of time when you are not recognized in front of the microphone, you are disrupting the orderly business of this council. You will be asked to leave the premises. If you choose not to leave the premises, you will be escorted from the building by a member of our law enforcement. State law and our local ordinances declares that it is a criminal offense to do any act which interferes with the due conduct of a lawful meeting. We embrace your First Amendment rights, but you must conduct yourselves within the parameters of our rules in order to protect First Amendment rights of others. Thank you, and if you could turn off your cell phones or set them to vibrate and stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stand for a moment of prayer. Precious Lord God, we thank you for the opportunity to take care of the business of Newton Falls. We thank you for the individuals from the community that have come tonight, dear Lord. We just pray that we can all just join together and do what is best for our community. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Roll call.
Here. Mariette. Savette. Here. Alvarez. Here. Waddell. Here.
Okay, I don't know if any of the children are here for the presentations. There's a couple walking through. We have the presentation under new business, but I'd like to move it up to now. If there's any there, unless there's anybody that has a objection with that. Anybody on council?
I'll make a motion to keep it up for public comments.
Okay, in a second. Roll call.
Whoa. Hey.
Mariette.
One, I didn't ask.
I didn't hear what you said.
Move it up to proclamation.
We would like to recognize the students.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Savette.
Yes.
Alvarez.
Yes.
Waddell. Freemeyer.
Yes. Gotcha. Two is on, one stay over there.
Okay, we have a couple of students in the back there.
This one. Just walk right up to the back room shot. This is on. You should come into the light.
Section 1.
Cody, my cop.
I just wanted to first, before I read all the names, congratulate you two and the individuals that are able to be here. I think it's just a great thing that you put in the time and the effort. I know with all the things you have going on, it's difficult
Oh,
to
yeah, Mike, if you
have
can.
a great plan like that. Not only your local government, but your entire community is proud of you.
Two's my God, it's too far.
The rest of the individuals aren't here, so I'm going to read through the names. And then,
I'll take that too.
is there any particular for the two of them or
Okay. See, I was gonna put a line on the slide like on the mayor. I wish I would have.
special recognition is hereby extended to the Newton Falls High School class of 2020. Melanie Thornton, Allison Sinback, Hannah Carter, Julie Koss, Bailey Schrum, Helena Spiker, is that how you pronounce it? Okay, and salutatorian Elizabeth Nutter. Newton Falls City Council, Mayor, and City Manager, on behalf of the citizens of Newton Falls, officially extend congratulations to the students for their accomplishments and commend Allison Sinback, Hannah Carter, Julie Koss, Bailey Schrum, Hamish Spiker, another for achieving academic
extend our best wishes to them and their future endeavors.
Two is hot. Wide shot is on.
All right. Public comments. First section of public comments is just a reminder there for items on the agenda only. And if you could come forward, let us know your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Wide shot.
Kate Carl, 128 West Quarry. I want to speak first of all about the new amendment regarding ordinance 20-2026 in regards to the AMI Gardner contract, a new one. Okay, you want to replace, first of all, you're changing the existing one that people took the time to go around and petition, and you're changing this one. It's still $3 million charged to us, the citizens, at approximately $1,844 a month. Now, you go through the contract, and it's got all of the gibberish in it that a contract needs. But there's a breakdown. Elimination of rereads, $42,000. A staff reduction, $3,000. An HVAC LED savings, $2,536. Also, a savings of $25,407. Is that because of the annex? I'm just curious, and I know you can't answer. So the $78,943,000 operational savings versus the $372,467 increased revenue is really not realistic, because when you're looking at the $3 million cost,
I'm on podium shot.
since they aren't accurate, you can't base the figures on faulty information because you've got Braceville. And if you're annexing the Braceville in there, is that why you're changing it? Is that why all of a sudden now this is back on as new business because of the annexation? And is that because now you're taking out the annex building and that's no longer a cost? Is that what the $25,407 is? Because of the annex building, you're taking that out of the equation? Is that why that is? So basically, there weren't correct figures in, so now you're gonna redo the contract to make sure that
If it's local.
you have different numbers? I guess I don't understand, is that why the contract was redone? And in which case, why? Because in the revenue part of what you're gonna do, or what the city is going to make, it's
That
revenue that's coming in, and is that for me? Yeah, okay. Basically, the revenue that's coming in is $372,000 increased revenue, but it's associated in what's going to be charged to the citizens of this city.
podium with cameras on.
But yet there's going to be an extra charge in utility, a spike in increased costs. That doesn't seem real feasible. Thank you.
From the wide shot.
Kevin Law, 230 Elizabeth Street. I have questions also on 2020-26. It's supposed to be over $458,000 increase in revenue, not how much the meters are going to save the customers. So we're not saving anybody anything, there's gonna be increase in revenue, okay? My main question is, are the new electric meters demand meters? And I had that thought because I'm concerned about this, because if you say that I can monitor, these electric meters from home to see how much electricity you're using.
Yeah.
It can tell the dishwasher going, the washer, the dryer, to the humidifier. Well, I'm looking at that, I better cut some of this off, because I'm gonna be on demand. So so that makes me think, maybe the demand meter, so again, I wanted to find out, if the demand meters, they may not be. I'm just trying to find out, so what happened? Is this mic too loud? I'm getting a reload here.
Yeah, turn it down.
And demand meters, they monitor every 15 minutes. They monitor your electric. And at the end of the month, they take an average somehow. I don't really know how it works. But you're going to have your regular electric bill, then you're going to have the add-on from the demand. So to find out, I called the councilman, Mr. Svett today, and asked him about the time period for this $458,000, and are the smart meters demand meters? And he said he didn't have that information in front of him at the time. So I thought that strange, because I said, you already voted yes on this, so you should know what you were voting on. But he didn't have that information in front of him. So then I talked to Mr. Albrady, and asked him the same questions. He said the $458,000 increase in revenue was over 15 years. I never got a straight answer about the electric meters, if they were demand or not. He said other communities are going to them, and electric superintendent Joe George recommends them. So I think the public deserves a straight answer. Are these new smart meters a demand meter or not?
One you just get.
And if you have not seen, council, if you have not seen, read with your own eyes,
Actually, two, give me
that
the
these
podium.
new meters are not demand meters, you must vote no. Because
Podium and all the council
if
members.
these are demand meters, you think you had complaints about the electric bill before.
And hold.
You will be, and rightly so, overrun with complaints. And I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. Mr. Alberti told me most of the increased revenue would come from the water meters. Okay.
You know what, leave the mayor's
Anyhow,
on.
that was the main thing. Think about it before you vote, council. I appreciate it.
It's different.
Could they move that microphone to the center so they don't have to go over like this? Would that be possible so they, I know we have to keep it on the corner? Or can they turn it up just a hair? Or not?
What do you want, boss?
Bend it down.
Well, we can't turn it up, we'll get feedback.
Can move it to the center a little bit. Like this.
Should I go up and trouble?
People at the podium need to stand in front of the microphone, that's all. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Hi, Sarah Hawkins, 17 East River Street. My comment is also for ordinance 2020-26. I want to know why we are introducing a new ordinance for the smart meters when we've already passed an ordinance on this issue. It seems to me that this is only being done to stop the petition that gained over 300 signatures from the voters of Newton Falls. And in doing this, you have essentially told the voters that you don't care that they have what they have to say, and that you're only here to fulfill your own agenda. An agenda that is set on doing nothing but spending money and making it harder for the residents to be able to afford living in their homes.
Hello, I'm Bruce Moore, 348 East Broad Street. Josh, I think you know my address. I am shocked this body. You are here to represent the people and the people's intentions, desires, whether or not you agree with them.
Amen.
And you are not fulfilling your obligation. I don't know what to say. If my kids didn't do what I asked them to do, they go behind a woodshed. That's not appropriate anymore. But we're talking about smart meters, we're talking about money for this city that currently we do not have. There are many other issues that are far more important, but yet are conveniently ignored. There are many people here that are here to ask you to change your opinion, and if the will of the people is to revoke what you wish to do, then you should honor it.
That's right.
Where is your honor? I know many of you up there, and some aren't looking me in the eye. But I am shocked that you are not fulfilling your obligation. And I challenge you to do what is right. Thank you.
Philip Beer, 509 Ravenna Road. I'd just like to say, I'm one of the people, and I think you're doing the right thing. You know, these people here are not the whole city. They have the right to their opinion, but you need to make up your minds based on what you think is good for the cities. For things like the smart meter, they're doing that all over. Ohio Edison is planning to have all of their meters, smart meters, by the end of the year. So, you know, that people act like this is so terrible, but this is something that's going to have to come sooner or later. And I think we need to modernize our city. I think you have a beautiful building here, you know. So you have my blessings.
Anybody else?
People 11210 East Liberty Street. On the ordinance 2020-26. First thing I want to say is, Sandra, you're my council person. You campaigned on being a representative of the people, being transparent and wanting to listen to the people. And I believe you on that. Mayor, you campaigned and you posted several times on social media that you wanted to listen to the people, that you wanted to hear what they had to say. I'm correct on that. Well, the people, some 330 of them, spoke by way of a referendum petition, saying they wanted to vote on this AMI smart meter project. Now, if you truly raise your hand, both of you, and you swore on the Bible to uphold the laws of the state of Ohio and the charter, why the effort to subvert the will of the people? Why try and keep us from voting on it? Mayor, you have the ability tonight to rule this emergency ordinance out of order, because it's not an emergency. Are you going to protect the people that you wanted to hear from?
Amen.
Secondly, why is it not an emergency?
We've done well so far. Let's keep the comments until you get up to the microphone.
Secondly, why is it not an emergency? Because it was first brought to council when? March 16th of this year. Shortly thereafter, our city manager asked for it to be tabled until when? June 1st. The last paragraph of this new ordinance says that the meters are so decrepit that they're creating a hazard to the residents. If that's true, then maybe after you finish passing this ordinance, like you intend to do tonight, the next thing you should do is go into executive session and fire Mr. Lynch. Because he tabled it and let it sit on the table from June, up until June 1st, knowing, according to this ordinance, that these meters were in such bad shape that they were putting the lives of citizens at risk. That means he was derelict in his duty to the citizens of Newton Falls, and we pay his paycheck. Finally, the charter, if you look under emergency, clearly states that granting franchises and doing anything that affects our utility rates by emergency are both strictly prohibited. Your vote tonight will show the people if you represent our voice or if you represent them. It can't be both ways.
Dave Hanson, 4365 Warren Road. You know what? I'm not hot on these meters, but, you know, there was a time we had horses and wagons in town here. And all the other cities and towns and municipalities, they're going to be moving forward. And you're not going to be able to stop it. So you either get with it now, or you're going to be paying more for it down the road. And the second thing I want to bring up and address, which Jim mentioned, was social media. And, you know, you've got 2% of the population in town on social media. And you've got the other 98% that's scared to death of being bullied. The bully bowl. And they're not going to say anything. And, you know, it's funny. Zuckerberg came into Newton Falls. And of all places for him to land, you know, Facebook has been behind the Arab Spring, all these riots, everything else that's gone on bad in this world.
Is this about the agenda?
For the past 6 months. So you know what you can do with the Facebook and the comments on that?
Agenda, Mayor.
You can wipe your hands with it.
This isn't about the agenda.
Thank you.
Nothing to do with the agenda.
Anybody else?
Brian Brown, 247 Elizabeth Street, Ward number 1. Before I get into my reading, I'd like to address, Mr. Hanson mentioned bullying. He called me a rat over the phone. Called me a rat. Told me that I came in through the wall. So this guy came up here and is looking at these people sitting out here and telling me. He called me a rat over the phone. Nobody said anything. Okay, so, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to express my support for ordinance 2020-25. Tom and Tracy Colosso have been absolute breath of fresh air in this community, and I believe that their business, as well as their presence in the village, will be a huge asset. Just look at the new cross-country village trail taking shape behind the high school. That's pretty much all Tom. Tom and his wife have a vision for the future of our beautiful and historic downtown, and it's one that people in this village can be proud of. The addition of their Fieldview Acres storefront will add to an already stellar lineup of boutique shops and stores and all their own personal style and flair. We need more of this. And we need more people like Tom and Tracy in our village. These are the types of people we need to attract to our village. The positivity they bring to the table, along with their drive to succeed, no matter what the circumstance, is something that we all need a little bit more of. I've spoken to Tom personally about this, and he, his wife, and family have our full support. Please pass this ordinance. To all those in the community and abroad, come and support not only Fieldview Acres, but all the other amazing businesses in the historic downtown. Second, ordinance number 2020-26. I don't even know where to start, honestly. Look around. Look at all these people here tonight because they're absolutely disgusted with the embarrassing lack of representation and so-called leadership from our group of mostly unelected individuals. This village, by and large, do not want these new meters. They don't approve this contract, they don't approve of this spending, and they are here to speak up again on this matter as we've been doing for weeks. weeks and weeks and weeks. Enough. When is it going to end? When are you actually going to represent your constituents and their wishes? You all have blatantly ignored the will of the people. Let me take that back. Let me correct that. Most of you have blatantly ignored the will of the people over and over again. Tonight, you've made this new ordinance an emergency. The only reason it has been done is because the referendum that's been launched against this gross misuse of funds has gotten more support than most of you did when you got elected. Think of that. 3 of you that have been elected. Let that sink in. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. You are supposed to be public servants. The only ones you serve are yourselves. I'm particularly disappointed in my ward and my councilman, who is making decisions that will affect this village for years to come, and who, when asked by myself and others, has been completely and utterly uninformed. My councilman, Mr. Spett, has been unable to answer direct questions that have been asked of him by myself and by other residents in my ward. It's embarrassing. There is no way you should be voting yes tonight, or any of the other times you blindly voted yes, while having no idea how much this action is going to cost us, or any other number of things you've been asked point blank and could not answer. You are supposed to be a knowledgeable and informed individual on all matters involving our ward, but time after time you've been unable to answer simple questions on an ordinance you already voted yes on. And that is going to cost us millions and millions of dollars that we don't have. We have no plan or strategy for the future. Vote no on this ordinance. Thank you.
Citizens 253 Arlington. I guess I would get yelled at if I would go in favor of Collison Bluffs storefront also, so I'm in support of that fully. In regards to the ordinance on the smart meters, there are a couple things in this contract that have changed. There's actually a number of meters that are in there. So how many of you know how much each meter is going to cost us? Anyone? $566.97. All right? How much does a regular, just electric meter that we can get RF cost? Where if the big idea is the smart meter, which, again, it may be a good idea, may not. I'm still on the fence on that. But there's radio meters, where somebody can sit in a truck, drive down the street, collect readings. We already have some in the city right now, currently, don't we? The answer is yes. $30 to $84 a meter for electric, okay? $50 to $100 for a water meter that we can purchase. Again, $566. It's too much money, just like I said before. $3 million is too much money. How many of you have read this contract all the way through? I did this afternoon in bits and pieces, and there's a bunch of stuff in there. All right? So, does anyone know how much we're paying per hour for the installers? Anyone? Anyone on camera? Hold on. Up to $43.30 an hour to install a meter. All right? That's ridiculous. Let's pay our own people. Okay? We can do this ourselves. We have to house a warehouse, provide office space, internet access, all kinds of demands, secure parking. It's a lot of stuff. Has this been approved already by AMI? Do we have the space already that's approved? Because if it's not, that's also in this contract. They can then decline our space and go and rent something else. Guess what? That's then an extra cost to us. There's also something else in here. If it's 2%, roughly, 2.5%, they can adjust the contract. Okay? So if they don't install 100 and we only install 97, they can increase the rates. There's a lot more stuff in here. You guys need to read this stuff. I spend an hour out of my work day to try to understand this stuff. There's a bunch of bad stuff still in this contract. Bunch. Vote no on it. It's not good. It's not an emergency. We can do it ourselves.
Hi guys, my name's Laura Nizel and I'm from 227 voted in to represent members of their board and to make decisions that are in the best interest of the community. When members of the community feel that council's decisions are not in the city's best interest, or in this instance, just at the wrong time, then we as residents are legally given the right to collect signatures and place these decisions on a ballot for us to vote. You, the representatives of our community, repealing an ordinance just to change the words and pass it as an emergency is silencing our right to vote. I don't think anybody really took a look at these. We had 148 signatures needed. Over 330 signatures were received. As a resident of this community, I implore you, please vote no. Look into this ordinance. Look into these smart meters. A little bit of information about them. They have lithium batteries in them. You know what else has a lithium battery? Your cell phone. You know how you know your cell phone's battery is going bad? Because it stops charging. You know how you know your battery and your cell phone's leaking? Because you can see it. These meters have a plastic cover. Unlike our electromagnetic meters, they have a glass cover. So when those batteries melt, what happens? You can cause a fire. And then you add the plastic into it. There is documented records of people's houses that are catching on fire because of these batteries going bad. Please do your research. Vote no on this. Some houses, and there's actually been records now from the California fires where the smart meters went bad, and they suspect that it was because of them. Please do your research on them. Just Google smart meters cause fires. Google it. It'll pull up article after article after article about different places in the U.S. There's actually places in Canada that had smart meters installed. Because of the fires that they were causing, the entire city is going back to the electromagnetic meters. So please do your research. Vote no for right now.
Anybody else?
Can I get a second address?
No.
If I have a second property?
No.
Why not?
No.
If someone else wants to speak, they can yield their time to Tim.
I want to speak, I'll give it to you. Go ahead, bud.
No. No.
Thought I'd try that. I didn't think it would work.
They don't want you to speak. They don't want to hear you.
You want to leave? You want to leave?
Because you're a joke, and you're a joke.
Escort him out.
You don't need to escort me, I'll find my own way.
Escort me out because you don't want to hear nobody when they're against you, bums.
Anybody else?
No, we'll stay.
All right, we'll move on to reports. Turn to the councilman, first ward. Mr. Sven, you have anything?
Nothing at this time?
Mr. Mariak?
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Waddell? Ms. Braymeyer? Mr. Alberini?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, citizens, for coming out tonight. We did meet with the Treasury Investment Board and our advisor, Jim, I forget his last name, Mr. Boyd. And I can tell you this, the investments that we made, I think Anna's going to comment on this later on tonight, with our rate of return has been between, I think, 3.2 and 5.9%. And so we've done really, really well. So there's a fallacy here that we're in bad shape, things like that. Our investments have been strong, and I want to give a shout out, as I've done previously. The groundwork was laid for this a couple years ago with Mr. Haney and Tracy, our previous city manager and treasurer, and we've been able to carry that process through. So as I said, we've been fiscally conservative, and it's paying off for us at this moment in time where everybody else, our rates are extremely down. I think 10-year bond market was what, 0.68%, if I'm not mistaken here. 30-year was 1.5, and so to have between 3.2 and 5.9 is a pretty good job. So you want to talk about later on, Ian? And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Law Director, you have anything for us?
I have nothing for you, sir. I'm available for questions.
Mayor,
say?
No, I told him. The law director does have nothing to report, but he's open for questions if
Can I-
any.
Mayor, can I question the law director?
You sure can.
Mr. Fritz, 2 weeks ago at the meeting, I asked for official documentation about why we made the ruling. You came up with New York versus Cleveland, but you also said that there were 3 instances where, 3 cases that you used for your opinion last meeting. I still haven't got that in writing. How long, you ought to know what they were. You gave them, you said you used them. How come I haven't been given those 3 cases in writing? That's all I want. Did you forget?
No.
Well, where are they at?
Once again, Mr. Bardak, you make demands upon me on a constant, regular basis.
I'm having trouble hearing you, sir.
Mr. Bardak, you make demands upon me on a constant and regular basis. And those demands are been unprofessional, they've been harassing, and what I've done, sir, is I've told you repeatedly, you can have the city manager direct me to do it, or you can get 3 members of council to direct me to do it. At that point, I will give you the information you need in writing.
I'm not asking for an opinion. I'm asking for what you stated on the floor. You said there were 3 cases. I just want to know what the 3 cases were.
I don't care if you want
That's not an opinion. That's what you said.
Sir, I'm
not harassing you, sir. I'm asking you about what you said. Now, if you can't back.
Hold on, Mr. Bardak, hold on for a second. Just hold on. It's not gonna do anybody any good if we're talking over each other. One guy finished, give him a chance to answer, vice versa. Mr. Bardak, finish what you're saying.
I can't hear the mayor either. What was that, sir?
Just stop talking over each other, stop cutting each other off, give him a chance to finish his answer, and you finish your question.
All right, I'd like to finish this up. I'm not harassing you, Mr. Fritz. I'm just asking you how you got your opinion. That is not asking for an opinion. That is just I want to know the information so I can relate it to my constituents. That is not asking for an opinion. We shouldn't need 3 people to ask why you made the decision you made. Thank you.
Mr. Bardak, again, your demands have been constant and regular. It's not just opinions. You're asking for this repeated, this in advance. Sir, you may not consider it harassment, but I can't get my job done because every 10 minutes you're asking for something else. It has slowed down recently, but it was to the point where I couldn't get my regular work done because you're asking for something on a regular basis. Again, you have the access to get the information. Have Mr. Lynch direct me to do it, or get 3 members of council to vote on it, and then I will take the time to do that and prioritize it as such. Thank you.
Hey, stop or we'll clear it. We'll clear the place out. And Miss Finance Director, you have anything for us?
Yes, Your Honor. Dear members of council, mayor, and the citizens, what I have to report is we did have a Treasury Investment Board meeting on July the 23rd with our investment advisor, Jim Perea from UBS Investments. He did give us the current rate of the market, and we are at a historical low for interest rates. When the interest rate, we are in a low interest rate environment, so with Investment 101, it basically means that our portfolio, which is both mostly government-backed securities and high-grade commercial paper, our portfolio value has actually increased. Basically, our average rate of return is at 5.09% interest, and that is a phenomenal rate. Most of our peers and villages of our size do not have a portfolio like ours, and we are extremely blessed to have this. Also in this meeting, we did provide historical information about this Treasury Investment Board meeting, so that's all I have.
Any questions for the finance?
Yes.
Mr. Bardak?
Response Listen, and if I'm out of place with this, the contract with the 2026 with the AMI and the garden, has that been executed or signed or a letter of intent or anything so far?
As a fiscal officer, I would not know that answer.
Anything else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would like to commend you for the management of the funds we have with Jim Korea. You've done a great job. As he said, the 5.9% of is unheard of in this economy. So I think kudos to you and your staff for doing so.
Okay. Anybody else with the finance director? Okay. Mayor's report, I don't have too much.
Wait a minute. Has the city manager been passed over?
He hasn't went yet. He'll go next.
But do you have any comments? Oh, okay. Sorry.
The only thing I have is had the opportunity to be a part of the naming of Liberty Park the other night and see a couple individuals here that were there, and it was a nice time and thankful, and that's about it. Mr. City Manager?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, the only thing I have to report today is that the reimbursement money that we asked for from the state has come in, and then some. The state of Ohio gave us pass-through from the CARES Act towards our COVID fund, $63,000, just north of $63,000. And that certainly is welcome. And only COVID-eligible expenses is what that money can be applied to. And so that amount of money takes care of all those testing kits, the testing process, and all the other COVID-related expenses we've had. So by reimbursement from the state, we end up not having to spend on COVID expenses any of the transfer that we did before. So I wanted to publicly thank Gil Blair, our state representative. He fought for House Bill 481 to make sure that this happened. And I called him about it over the weekend. He's been out of town with his family on vacation, but he took the call, and I want to thank our state representative. This hard work is a result of legislative efforts down there in Columbus. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any questions for the city manager?
Yes.
Mr. Barnett?
There's been a lot of publicity, sir. It's gone nationwide. I wanted to ask, as far as this proclamation, who gave you permission to do it?
Nobody gave me permission, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Well, why did you make believe it was an official document?
I didn't make believe it was an official document.
All right, okay. Did you realize the ramifications this could have on the community, on our economic development?
Yes, I've been swarmed with emails from all over the country of people indicating they want to come into Newton Falls and spend their money here as a result of that proclamation. So I did, and am encouraged by it.
Okay, any other comments?
Excuse me, but I have one more question. I want to give him a chance to respond to each one. Look, Mr. Lynch, it's not about right or wrong. It's about you putting the community in a possible harm's way. Now, maybe there won't be an repercussion, but I'll tell you what. You don't know what goes on nowadays out here in the public, and who might want to come in here, and God forbid, something happened. Are you willing to live with that, sir, over a statute?
Okay.
Would you like to answer that,
Great
sir?
comment.
Mr. Chairman, I consider that to be kind of a rhetorical question. Nobody wants any lack of security in our community. Nobody does.
Okay, any other comments for me or any other questions for the?
Yeah, I want to commend the city manager. As you know, we're connected all over the state.
No, left,
That's why it's all there. I personally got by the way, folks, I don't like masks either. So.
Terry, hold your mic up closer, please.
Gotcha, thanks. the amount of comments that I personally received from all over Ohio, from people I'm in business with, commended the city of Newton Falls for taking this step. And some may agree with it, some may not agree with it, but the majority, from what I've seen on Facebook, from our activity, they love it. And it has brought, I told Mr. Lynch, this has been a marketing coup, because it has put Newton Falls on the map. Now, I don't want anything bad to happen here, to my family, to your family, to anybody. But this is my opinion only, it's not a representation of council. But folks, there comes a point in time where we can't allow people to denigrate our history and our past. I was Saturday, I'm sorry to be off track, Mr. Lynch. Saturday, I looked at my great-grandfather. His name was Pasquale Calabrese, who came from Italy on a ship from Naples. And I thought for a moment how he felt coming into Ellis Island on a ship crammed with thousands of people in ungodly conditions, looking up at the Statue of Liberty. And he said, I want to be an American. So when people ask me, Terry, you're an Italian American. No, I am an American Italian. That's what I am, American Italian. I was born here. That doesn't mean I do away with my roots from Italy or Germany or whoever. It means I am an American Italian, and I'm proud of our country. And I'm proud of that Statue of Liberty sitting down there by the church.
Any other questions? Manager? Okay, then let's, do you have any changes to tonight's agenda?
Yes, I'd like to put a motion. I'd like to put a motion to have the city manager have to have council approval before any proclamations are made, which I don't even see in the charter.
Okay, do we have a second on the motion?
You don't second it now, it's not the time. Is it? It's not the time, the law does. Is it the time to second that, sir?
You need a second to change the
I
agenda.
wanted to put them, to change the agenda just to put the motion on.
You need a second to change the agenda, sir.
I need a second?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second?
Nobody.
Okay. Done. Any other changes?
I'd like a motion to direct and require the city manager to rescind the proclamation dated July 4th, 2020 regarding accepting the statues into the city of Newton Falls.
There you go.
We have a second on that.
Give a second, John. Second. Johnson.
I'm having trouble hearing
Are you kidding me?
He's just reading, he couldn't hear him.
What was the change there, Mr. Zabet?
A motion to direct and require the city manager to rescind the proclamation dated July 4th, 2020 regarding the accepting of statues into the city of Newton Falls.
Okay, do we have a second for this change?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call.
Surratt?
Yes.
Albrady? Waddell?
Yes.
Braymire?
No.
Bariak?
Yes.
Four votes for it to be successful.
Can't we go back to 3 votes since it's not an emergency, right?
Put it on as an emergency.
Okay, Mr. Zabet, what was your other change to the agenda?
To add an executive session for personnel matters for the employment for to discuss the city manager's review.
Okay, do we have a second for that?
City manager's.
Mr. Waddell, second.
You're going to go into executive session, right?
Yeah.
Okay, roll call.
Albrady?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymire?
Yes.
Bariak?
I don't want to vote on it here.
City manager's review.
Review the executive session.
Review?
Yes.
Yes.
Surratt?
Yes.
Okay, passed. Approval of previous minutes.
2020.
Okay, roll call.
Waddell? Raymeyer? Spariak? Savet? Alberini?
Okay, we have a motion to approve the June 24th special meeting. Okay, Mr. Liddell, you got a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Raymeyer?
Yes.
Spariak? Savet?
Yes.
Alberini? Waddell?
Minutes approved. Public hearings. First one is,
Ordinance 2020-17, amending section 521-06 in reference to sidewalks required in railroads.
So moved.
Carl, one, two, eight, less Gloria. I'll speak on the first one first. The situation in the past with the railroad specifically, and I hope this will be addressed before this ordinance is passed. There's always been an issue with trying to get the railroad to take care of anything in regards to maintenance surrounding their tracks, or get them to pay for anything in regards to. So my question is, it's great that you're making and passing and updating the ordinance, this one specifically. However, who's going to do the work? How are they going to be paid? What fund is going to come from? And in turn, how are you going to get the money? Because it's close to impossible. We have found, our town has found in the past, it's pretty nigh impossible to get the funds from the railroad, to get the reimbursement from them. Thank you very much.
Richard Eby, 50 West Side Street. I'm addressing the railroad issue. I gave Mr. Lynch a card from the roadmaster in Lordstown that I talked to. I think his name is Pazzo or something, he's a new guy. And the railroads do clean up underneath. They clean the road, they clean the sidewalks off. They'll make sure the rocks are pulled back so they do not fall over and hit cars, because they have to pay claims. But they will do that if they are addressed. If you call him, I'm sure he'll work with you, because I talked to him about it. And it should be taken care of. Now, they were saying something about painting. They're not gonna paint inside there. They're not gonna put new sidewalks in. The railroad has a 30-foot right-of-way, is what they have to take care of, 30 feet from the track on each side. They will clean out over there, because I've done that myself. I worked there 41 years. Okay, thank you.
Ordinance 2020-18, amending chapter 557 in reference to weeds, grass, and shrubs to require the railroad to maintain underpasses.
Any public comments on this ordinance?
All right, again, Katie Carl, much great was for it. That's great, and I'm glad that due diligence was done. However, again, maybe things have changed with the railroad. However, with the shrubs and everything else, I'm glad this is being updated. I'm glad this is being considered. But what fund is this coming out of? Who's doing the work? How much is this gonna cost the city, the taxpayers, for this to get done? That's my concern. Thank you.
Okay, any other public hearings here on this ordinance?
an ordinance amending Newton Falls Codified Ordinance, Section 521-06, duty to keep sidewalks in repair and clean in order to expedite sidewalk maintenance by all property owners such as railroad or other commercial owners.
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call. Yes.
I actually share the same concerns as Kate Carl in terms of the payment from CSX, us getting payment at all. I mean, have we looked into getting payment? And what does that look like in terms of, costs going forward? So I know there is some cost if we have to, stick on the tax bill and all that.
The bottom line is, if we don't have an ordinance, there isn't anything we can do. My hope is that at least it's not maybe the immediate underpass, but coming to and from the underpass, we have some control over it. We've had up and down situations. We've worked out the grass cutting situation with CSX to the city. Bottom line is, if we don't have the ordinance in place, then they believe that they're not an entity that has to deal with us. If we place it in the ordinance, at least gives us some opportunity to either negotiate or out to do the work, and we can't certainly do a lien, but we can make some attempts to try to use public opinion, use the legal process, do something. If we don't have the ordinance, as it stands now, we can't even bother to go after it. And that's why we're asking to put it in. Again, we're not sure how they're gonna take this. As one gentleman has mentioned here, they're trying to take it very serious. Maybe the fact that you just put the ordinance in place may be significant. But the bottom line, sir, is I don't know how the future is gonna go, but I know if we don't have them specified, we're never getting anything done. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Albertine?
I think my friend Rich here just mentioned that if we contact the railroads, they will come down and take care of it. Is that my correct in saying that?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
what I just
We don't want to overthink the process here. I know it's government, but,
Yeah, let me come up with it.
well,
Not unless we change the rules to council.
gotcha.
They will use their own equipment, they will do all the work for the software.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
If you want a lawsuit, I wouldn't like that.
Mr. Boria?
Too much money. I agree with Attorney Fritz. We're not going to.
I agree with Attorney Fritz. The sidewalks are in terrible, terrible shape. One is down past one of our historic cemeteries on North Canal. Center Street isn't quite that bad on the one side. But we've waited for years and years and years for the railroad to do something. And at least now, maybe we can push the shove. Now, I will say this, and I want the public to know this. It seems we can find money for every other thing. Maybe it's a one-time shot, we'll be able to find a little bit of money, should we not get the money off them? And let's get this for public safety and for the public in general to improve Newton Falls. And that's why I sponsored this legislation.
Any other comments or questions on this? Okay, before roll call, I do want to apologize to the gentleman back there. I hate cutting you off like that. I'm just following the rules of the council, but roll call.
Braemeier.
Yes.
Bariak.
Yes.
Savett.
Yes.
Alberini. Waddell.
Passed.
Ordinance 2020-18, an ordinance amending Newton Falls Codified Ordinance, Chapter 557, weeds and grass to include railroad and commercial property.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Yes, I don't know how we could do this. I know we have a qualified street crew. We also have some fellows that work in the electric company. And we just bought a $40-some-thousand chipper. Maybe we could do some of this work ourselves. If the railroad, we could save a lot of hassle, we could do a little bit of this ourselves. I know one thing, you can't even get around over there on all these underpasses now, the stuff, you're gonna take a baby stroller down through there, or somebody wants to walk their dog, they're brushing against poison ivy, weeds, raspberry bushes, and that's why I sponsored this too. I'd like to make it for when you want to walk downtown or you want to walk around, that you can be able to do it in the village.
Okay, any other comments? Roll call.
Marianne?
Yes.
Savett?
Yes.
Alberini? Waddell? Braymire?
Passes. New business.
Ordinance 2020-22, an ordinance accepting the annexation of 27.952 acres in Newton Township and Braceville Township from the county, Ohio, to the city of Newton Falls and declaring an emergency.
Do we have a motion? Discussion.
I'd like to ask the city manager, why do we need it? Could you tell me that, sir? Why do we need the 27.5 acres?
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Councilman Waddell on this. This was the original annexation for Venture Plastics.
Or is that Venture Plastics?
Yeah, this is Venture Plastics. After the county approves it, we're not allowed to bring it back to city council for acceptance until so many days go by. So that's why it didn't come back again until now.
Could I ask another question? How much money is this gonna cost us to do this? How much in legal fees and all that? How much is it gonna cost us?
We're accepting the annexation tonight.
Are we paying for it?
No, we're accepting the annexation tonight. It's already done.
I couldn't hear, what did you say?
It's already done.
Oh, it's all done?
Yep.
But how much was it? Oh, and they just.
Yeah, there were legal fees. It was through the firm in Columbus. I think the finance director might be able to help me with that.
I would have it on the report, I don't have that information with me right now.
By accepting this, are we gonna have any boundary upkeep or anything like that? Is the city gonna be liable for like fencing?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay, any other comments?
Okay, if not, roll call.
Savett?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymire?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-22 for its second reading, an ordinance accepting the annexation of 27.952 acres in Newton Township and Braceville Township from the county, Ohio, to the city of Newton Falls and declaring an emergency.
Okay, discussion. Okay, if no discussion, roll call.
Alberini?
Yes.
Waddell? Braymire?
Yes.
Bariak? Savett?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, we did the proclamation for these students, but we never voted.
Yeah, I didn't know there was something to vote on with that.
I didn't know what to do. Is that how I didn't know if they wanted to or not?
We don't have to vote on the proclamation, correct?
Do you generally?
If it, I mean, you can read it and do it if you want.
Yeah.
Good?
We have it on. Yeah, please.
I'm sorry, the public tonight, I ran machinery, my ears are gone today, I'm sorry.
So it's a proclamation of recognition to the Newton Falls High School class of 2020 graduated. Many students this year wish to be proud. And whereas among the students were several students who graduated with a special designation of valedictorian and salutatorian for achieving outstanding academic success and joining the ranks of the highest and brightest students. And whereas these students have demonstrated through their performance the value they place on learning and earned an exemplary grade point average. And whereas the mayor, city council, and community wish to acknowledge the persistent effort and diligence exerted for student studies during their school life, which deserves proper recognition of their academic accomplishments. And whereas these students, through their accomplishments, have earned the respect of their peers, teachers, administrators, and families. Council of the City of Newton Falls, State of Ohio hereby proclaims Section 1 special recognition is hereby extended to the Newton Falls High School class of 2020 valedictorians. Allison Simbach, Hannah Carden, Julie Koss, Bailey Schrum, Helena Spicer, and salutatorian Elizabeth Nutter. Section 2, Newton Falls City Council, Mayor, and City Manager, on behalf of the citizens of Newton Falls, officially extend congratulations to these students for their accomplishments and commend to Allison Simbach, Hannah Carden, Julie Koss, Bailey Schrum, Helena Spicer, and Elizabeth Nutter for achieving academic excellence, and extend our best wishes to them in their future endeavors.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Waddell?
Yes.
Braymire?
Yes.
Bariak? Savet?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Okay. Now, where were we at now?
Ordinance 2020-23, an ordinance amending ordinance 2016-14, amending collected income tax allocations.
Okay. Any comments, discussion?
I'd like to ask the finance director a question.
You have the floor, Mr. Mario.
How much money does that figure for the roads? Moving 1% down?
Currently, does 1% is, 1% of $762,000, so
So it'll move 70-some thousand, is that what you're saying?
approximately, but it's not, it's going to the street department. Roads get paid out of Fund 6203, which is permissive tax. This is gonna help Harry's department.
Okay, do we have any other questions, comments? Okay, roll call?
Braymire?
Yes.
Bariak?
Yes.
Savet?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Waddell?
Okay, pass.
Ordinance 2020-24, an ordinance amending ordinance 2015-50, establishing administrative overhead cost allocations to the electric revenue fund and water revenue fund, sewer revenue fund, and general fund.
We have a second. No comments?
Could I ask the city manager waiting on this, please?
For the finance director.
This is a housekeeping measure. This is to modify the 2015 cost allocation to exclude donations, grants, and reimbursements. So obviously, if we get a program in the general fund that we receive a donation, we're not going to charge the enterprise funds for that because we got money donated in. So it's just a housekeeping item that we're amending in ordinance from 2015 on the cost allocation formula.
That's the grants to and everything, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Roll call?
Bariak?
Yes.
Savet?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Waddell? Braymire?
Yes.
Okay, passes.
Ordinance 2020-25, an ordinance authorizing the lease of property located at 36 West Broad Street to Fieldview Acre Mercantile LLC, operated by Tom and Tracy Colosimo, and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
What?
Discussion?
Yes, I'd like a couple of questions for the city manager. First of all, do we have a deposit on the place?
No.
Okay. And will there be strictly no liability for the village?
Strictly no
For the
liability.
sublease of this building?
That's correct. There'll be no liability for the village.
Okay, I would like to say that I would fully support this. I'm not one that's on emergencies. But Mr. Colosimo has done a lot for the community. He wants to step up now and be a business, bring business into town. He's willing to accept something. It's a long-term lease, which is good, and it will start saving the citizens of Newton Falls money immediately, the thing that we need to do.
Okay, any other discussion?
We gotta follow decorum council through. Could you explain what Mr. Calissimo's business is and what he's going to do?
Yeah. Mr. Colosimo has been involved with the business community very consistently over the last several years here. In fact, he's right now the vice president of the Commerce Association here in Newton Falls. And he's been sort of a one-man band in terms of encouraging other businesses to move into town. And then remarkably, he's putting his money where his mouth is and saying, not am I going to go around trying to get other businesses to move into town, I'm going to move my business into town. And he's a positive influence in the community. It emanates from his soul. Anybody that's talked to him, dealt with him, and I can already tell that positive vibes are becoming from that location on Broad Street. He is a force for positivity in our community. I couldn't think of a better arrangement.
Congratulations, by the way. So what is the business? Is it pasta?
Yes.
Or something?
No, it's not pasta, Mr. Alberini.
We need a good pasta place in town. Go ahead.
Although I'm sure Tom would serve pasta at some kind of grand opening. He has a business with Remarkable Collectibles, and he's got an eye for some amazing things. You may have noticed recently, he posted on Facebook, he was able to get a tiger, very similar to the Sinchek tiger, that was on one of the merry-go-rounds from one of these old retired amusement parks. And things of that nature. It is, it's like going through a beautiful museum when you go through his warehouse, and now that business is coming to downtown Newton Falls, and it's, Tom's a class act, and this business will be so too.
Congratulations.
Does anybody else want to first address it? I'd like to second.
Okay, Mr. Barrett, you have the floor.
One other thing I'd like to say, after talking to Mr. Colissimo, we had it very hard to find a place in Newton Falls. And rather than see him go to Leavittsburg where we won't get nothing, the Lord's time, I'd let him stay in Newton Falls and bring something to the community. Because if he couldn't find a place, I presume he would have to go somewhere else.
Anybody else? Roll call.
Submit.
Yes.
Alberini.
Yes.
Waddell. Yes. Ray Myers. Yes. Period.
Yes.
Pass.
Ordinance 2025, for its second reading, an ordinance authorizing the lease of property located at 36 West Broad Street to Fieldview Acre Rivertile LLC, operated by Tom and Tracy Colosimo, declaring an emergency.
Second.
Lionel and Terry. Lionel and Terry.
Okay, discussion, comments? Roll call.
Alberini.
Yes.
Waddell. Ray Meyer. Yes. Bariak. Savett.
Yes. Pass.
Congratulations, Tom.
Ordinance 2020-26, an ordinance repealing ordinance 2020-10 and enacting ordinance 2020-26, authorizing the city manager to enter into and execute a contract for an AMI implementation project with Gardner Service Company LLC and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Discussion.
Yeah, I want to address it. Eddie, thanks for calling today. I appreciate that. I always want to be open to the citizens, with their suggestions and comments. I'm not an electrician. I think Eddie knows I'm not an electrician. I've talked to several people who are well versed in smart meters and things like that, because I'm going to tell you right now, you're talking to the wrong guy. So what I do typically is I talk to people who know about this stuff. I talked to an individual high-level manager of First Energy, and he said basically, this is the way to go in the future. I think the state of Pennsylvania is converting over the whole state, or has converted over the whole state to smart meters. The young lady made the comment about the little Frisbee batteries. I also investigated that too as well. And you're right about the cell phones. I mean, same type of issues with the cell phones. But one of the comments that came up was that the smart meters were kind of an invasion of our personal privacy. And I asked the individual, again, who's a high-level manager of First Energy, he goes, no. You have more to fear as far as your laptop, your computer, your iPhone, as far as people getting data from you than a smart meter would. So what I always try to do myself personally is that I try to get information from people who are a lot smarter than me and stuff. And then I take that information and I roll with it. Some may not like the way I vote, some may like the way I vote. But I wouldn't vote on anything to hurt the citizens of Newton Falls that I would not want for myself. So I'm for this. I see the technology. I talked to Bill George today, as I told, can I tell him your nickname, Honey Pie? As I talked to Bill George today, and Bill advised me, again, this is the way to go. Eventually it's going to happen. They're replacing meters right now, and somebody had a question about the cost of a meter. I'm sorry, Counselor, could you tell me how much a meter costs? Is it, he mentioned to me, and it was in my notes, to replace a meter currently right now.
Yeah, Well, it depends on the nature of the kind of meter you get, but it's just only a few percentage points less than the automated system.
Okay, gotcha. So, to your question, Ed, it is actually a smart meter. It's not referred to as a demand meter, so hopefully.
Oh, it's not a demand meter, if that's what you mean.
No, Eddie had asked for it. It's a demand meter. Okay, thank you,
Mr. Waddell.
This is a very interesting, subject, when you're talking about smart meters, and as Mr. Alberti said, I don't know that it's the whole state of Pennsylvania, but all of people under First Energy in PA have, I think they've all been installed there by now. It's hard to sit here and explain it, and I'm not going to do it tonight because we've already talked about it multiple times, but smart meters are more than just reading your meter. There's so much to do with outages and you being able to save money on your utilities by monitoring your own utilities. And a lot of it happens on the water side. If you have a leak in your toilet or something like that because your plunger isn't working and your water runs all the time, we've had a lot of people complain about high water bills. If you're monitoring your electric, or in your water, you're monitoring the meters, you can see this happening, and you can stop that, and you can, it doesn't get into a big fight when you say, hey, how come my bill's so high? Well, you can monitor your own usage. You can watch those things. As to the fires, well, I can certainly attest to numerous structure fires related to glass meters and failure of 60 amp meter bases, and out of the 43 years that I dealt with it, so. It's just, it's like anything else, anything can happen, and sometimes it does. It's just not the meter's fault that it blows up. They go bad, and just like a glass meter does or anything else. And there's plastic meters out there right now. A lot of the meters that are in service are plastic covered meters. They're not on glass. So there's a lot of things out there, but truly this is a way to move forward. I think these meters are beneficial to us. Yeah, they're a little bit expensive, but you get a lot for what you're doing. So that's the story.
My first question would be, I would like to bring back a question that I asked before. I'll ask the city manager. Have we had anybody either sign a contract or a letter of intent with Gardner or the AMI? Has anybody done anything like that?
No.
Okay, then, why are we repealing it? In the past, we've made changes. And, Mr. Lynch, you already made 2 addendums to the church contract. The ordinance was passed, and I don't remember even coming back to us. So,
Yeah,
wait. Excuse me, let me finish and then you can address somewhere else, please. I have here the schedule for the new contract, and it says, preliminary project schedule. The project to take 360 to 380 days from the time of the contract signing. A detailed project schedule will be developed for kickoff meeting after contract execution and updated on a regular basis. Well, we don't even have a schedule. And then here's another part of the contract I want the people to know that I read. And I want to ask you a couple more questions. Work order, change of work order. A change of statement of work order must be agreed upon when writing by both parties. The following procedure, whether requested by Gardner, Klein, or Acura, will be control of all changes. The request of change to the applicable statement of work must be made in writing and shall be submitted by the project manager. Each request will contain the following information. Impact, if any, of the existing work. Impact, if any, of the project schedule. Impact change, if any, of the service or fee. Now, here's a work change order here. Now, as far as I know, not a dollar bill has been changed as far as the amount or the scope of the work. Why can't we just amend it? All we want to do is put an emergency phone number and what was it, a start date, or what is that? What was that scheduling? Yep. What was that, Mr. Lewis?
360.
Yeah, what's?
360 days.
Yeah, okay. Well then, it hasn't started yet. We postponed it because of the
Mr. Lynch, is this being done as a way to stop the referendum?
Yeah, hold on. Are you,
I'd just like to ask a simple question.
are you done with your questions?
He didn't say, he didn't answer, he said he was done.
Well, that's
All right,
because,
go ahead, Mr. Lynch, I'm sorry. I
that's
didn't mean to
because you
interrupt.
said you had multiple questions. I want to see if you're done, and he can have the floor, so we're not cutting each other off. Are you done with your questions? Mr. Bariak?
No, I have a couple more, but I'd like him to respond when he wants to.
Well,
On a second address.
you're running low on time.
Quit stalling.
Well, Mr. Lynch, you have.
How much time do I have left?
About 30 seconds.
How much? All right, what I'd like to say is, if we have no contract, we can make a new schedule. Why don't we change, why can't we change the work order? Suppose later on down the road, there's another change or something. Are we gonna go back and do the contract over and over and over and over and over? No, we're just gonna put it into the same. So, it seems to me to believe a little bit about, I don't know why we're doing this, we can't just change it.
Okay, Mr.
People
Lynch.
have to figure that out for yourselves.
You have the floor, Mr. Lynch.
Yeah, no, that is not the purpose of the change, Mr. Berry. That's it.
Okay, we're getting more.
Yeah, the schedule is self-explanatory. That was the first point he made. It's 360 days, so the purpose, as it relates to change orders, not related to the question that he asked. So the answer to that is no as well.
Okay, Mr. Alberini, did you want to say?
Folks, the contract hasn't been executed, so we're kind of asking questions beforehand that are really not valid until the contract is signed by the city, number one. Number two, and Mr. Bariak knows this because he's in business, sometimes the scope of work changes when you're quoting jobs and businesses. For instance, I've talked to him numerous times where maybe the job he's quoted, he's maybe underbid it a little bit, he has to rebid it or add different services to it. I know the same thing in my business as well. So with that being said, in regards to the referendum, and I can tell you this one personally, my goal is not to stop your referendum. That's your right, I have no problem with it doing it whatsoever. But I'm elected to make decisions on behalf of Newton Falls, and you folks are welcome to do your referendum. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, roll call.
Waddell? Yes. Braymire? Yes. Darius?
No.
Savet?
Yes.
Alberini?
Pass.
Ordinance 2020-26, an ordinance repealing ordinance 2020-10 and enacting ordinance 2020-26, authorizing the city manager to enter into and execute a contract for an AMI implementation project with Gardner Service LLC and declaring an emergency.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Yes.
Braymire? Yes. Darius?
No.
Savet?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Pass.
Resolution 20-20, a resolution authorizing the finance director to establish capital improvement and debt retirement funds.
We have a motion. Second. Discussion.
I'll be more than happy to. Members of council and mayor and public, this resolution is a housekeeping item. It is to follow the state auditor's recommendations for our audit, to track our bond and set up funds to retire the 2020 bond series. That is what this purpose of the resolution is for.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
Darius?
Mr. Bariak?
Yes.
Savet?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Waddell? Braymire?
Yes.
Pass. Okay, public comments?
Katie Carl, 128 West Quarry. What I have to say is about the statue situation. While I'm very proud of our history and that Newton Falls has always been a town that has helped others, and we've always pulled together with everything. We've had events that the whole town has been open, and we've had benefits for everybody that have always helped out. We've always been a very giving and open town, always. To make a proclamation that you did, Mr. Lynch, was the most reprehensible thing you could do. If you wanted to make a statement on your own, that's one thing. But to put a target on our back for the town of Newton Falls, for our community, that was wrong. Yes, we all have our own opinions. That's correct. When I talked to you today, yes, we all have our own opinions. True. Yes, I honored our history too. That's what I teach to my kids, my grandkids, etc. But that jeopardized the safety of our community. I asked you if you had a plan in place. Just no. This is something that is very serious. I asked you if you were watching nationwide TV. And yes, the President of the United States made an executive order to protect the statues. And I agree with that completely. But who's going to protect our town, our community, the people of us and our kids? God forbid, you endangered us, our safety. That's a breach of your contract, sir.
Amen.
Okay? Who's going to protect our kids, our families? That you? Are you going to call in the National Guard and do that? Why? Why would you have to? And how much is it going to cost for this nonsense? I'm all for protecting the statues and the history of our country. But what about our town? Why would you do something like that? Let's fix our roads, our sidewalks, our infrastructure. Now you just spent another $3 million on a contract. You spent money on this building, taxpayer dollars. Okay, that's great. We need to update. But what about the safety of our families? That was wrong.
Gordon Heisel, 227 North Center. Some might see the removal of the statues as a sombering moment. Others are rejoicing that they're being removed. My personal opinion on whether they should or shouldn't be there, I'm not here to talk on that. It doesn't matter to me. My question is, are we prepared for the protesters at these statues? Are we prepared for the fallout from this decision? Are we willing to possibly see our small businesses boarded up? Is our police force ready to take on protesters that even Columbus, Ohio couldn't protect the statues? Baltimore, Minneapolis, all of them have bigger police forces, and they couldn't even protect the statues. Personally, this action makes me fearful. It makes me scared that protesters could be coming in at night. There's people getting shot. There's people that are getting, police officers shot and killed, citizens shot and killed. Where these protests are being held. I just, personally, they need to be put into a museum. I agree, but statues are not history. We don't keep statues of Hitler. We don't keep statues of Lenin. We don't keep statues of people that are in our history just because it's history. We need to move on from these. I'm not saying that these people are as bad as them, but people are taking it that way. We don't need that here in our city. It just makes me very fearful. It makes me actually scared to walk down the street because we don't know where these people are going to come from. And you laugh.
Mayor, tell you what, I am so angry about what's happening in this country. You know, they were gonna tear down Frederick Douglass' statue, Abraham Lincoln. You know, to me, it's like, I think it's a good idea. You didn't say you were gonna accept Confederate statues, you said you wouldn't, okay? But I don't think any statue should be torn down anywhere. Our history should not be erased. And I'll tell you what else, if you're afraid to stand up for America and you're not willing to stand up for our history, you know, if you're gonna let them, they're anarchists, they're tearing the country down. You need to stand up and fight. And I think a lot of people in this country feel the same way. And if you bring statues here and you're careful about what you bring here, I think a lot of people will come here and they'll spend money. But I don't care about money. I care about the history of the United States of America. I care about anarchy in the streets. If you're afraid to stand up to that, then you don't deserve to be in America.
Can someone give me, if these are not man meters, can someone shake their head up and down and yes, that these are not man meters?
They don't know because there's no model number.
They're not man meters, okay. That was my main concern. But anyhow, District Council did realize this is Newton Falls, this isn't your Grand Falls. You know, council should spend the money accordingly. I'm sure that people appreciate the time and effort the council puts into their jobs. However, until you start to spend the money in a more conservative way, you will continue to have this opposition.
Mary Ann Johnson, 204 Newton Drive. I'd like to ask the city and the city manager why our power goes out twice, 2 or 3 times every other week, just enough to screw my TV up and the clocks and everything. I would like to have an answer. Thank you.
First, I'd like to write about 247 Elizabeth Street. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. First, before I get into this, I want to congratulate Tom and Tracy. I'm going to address you.
Brian.
Hold on.
It's not my time.
Can't hear you. Slow down.
I can talk louder.
Please.
That I can. Sorry.
Talk to us.
This is fine. I'll address you first. You were elected by the people of this village as one of their own, as a man who would lead this village away from the nonsense of the past, and who would lead with reverence, honesty, integrity, and with your heart. Where are you? Where did you go? Your role and position as mayor has all but vanished. You have been replaced. You are not even the figurehead we spoke about privately. You're pretty much just the guy that sits up there while Mayor Lynch and his posse lay waste to our village by spending our money without asking, making proclamations that put real people's lives and businesses at risk, and by basically making a mockery of our charter. And you do nothing. I'm extremely disappointed in you, Kenny. I really am. You're not alone. You're letting a lot of people down by letting these things happen on your watch. There is much you can do to stop it, but you do nothing. Perhaps you lack the courage or the fortitude. Mayor Lynch, you have acted alone. But one more time, this village is back. And I say how.
Mr. Croft, address him properly.
I'm sorry?
Address him properly.
I'm sorry?
Address him properly.
Call him Village Manager Lynch. Is that better? We're not a city. Just so everybody knows, and for the record, this isn't a city, it's a village. We haven't been a city since 2000. Check the record. This is a village. You guys want to check your egos at the door. All of them. Mayor Lynch, sorry, Village Manager Lynch. How dare you risk the lives and businesses in this fair village for your own ego and your own selfish aspirations? How dare you use our village as a platform for you to gain attention and yourself while casting a negative light on our beloved village? our village. How dare you make proclamations in the name of our entire village? You have no authority to do so. And you certainly don't speak for me. And you don't speak for the people that are here tonight either, I don't believe. You cross the line, dude. Make no mistake. When and if things go badly in our peaceful little village, I, and many among us here tonight, will make sure full and well that everyone knows who you are and where you are so they can share their sentiments with you personally. A couple more things I want to address as I have a little more time. Terry, you mentioned talking to one of the residents here in town. I've spoken with you several times via email. I have all the official emails and stuff. You told me that you would take care of the fact that your email address on the official Newton Falls website is still incorrect. After a month, you told me you would take, I have the email, and I'd be happy to share it. If everyone's public record, I'd be happy to share it. You told me that you would take care of it. You still have not. So that's a problem. Still not addressed. Treasury Investment Board doesn't even exist on the city website or the village website. It's not even there to be found. The meeting you guys had the other day wasn't even announced. It was nowhere on the website. $2,000 that you paid for the statue, I believe. Did we get that money from Venture Classic yet? Because they still haven't paid us for the video that I did, the video production that I did. They haven't paid us yet. I have the forms for that. I'd like to make a formal request also for the village managers.
Just finish your point.
I will. I'll finish my point real quick. I'd like to make a formal request right now at this meeting for the village manager's last 2 evaluations that are supposed to be done per his contract by this council. The council cannot provide me with those 2 evaluations. Since he's been here since May of 2018, you're all in derelict duty. Okay? And everybody else, keep sending emails to the city, keep sending emails to your representatives, keep calling, keep hounding these people until they actually hold themselves accountable and do what they're supposed to do. Thank you,
Jim Malone, I'm not sure how that vote went on the proclamation because I didn't hear what you said. Was it passed or not passed, Mr. Fritz? Was it passed? I'm not sure about that because it was 3 for and 2 against. Is that correct?
Which one?
The vote for the, we couldn't hear, the vote for the reversing the proclamation.
It passed.
It did pass?
Mr. Chairman?
No, it did.
Has he added to the agenda?
That was added to the agenda.
It was added. Trust that, Jim Malone?
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear, that's why I'm asking. It's not here, I'm here.
He's gonna clarify.
Stop his time.
When you add something to the agenda, it needs to be placed by a 4-1 vote, as they have a super majority, and I believe it failed.
There's somewhere in there where that's wrong.
It was 3-2, Jim.
Okay, we couldn't hear, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it was a non-agenda item, so it needed a 4 vote to pass.
Okay, I'm just asking because we couldn't hear, that's all. Under Charter Article 9, Article 3, Section 9, it defines the power of council. And I believe except for emergencies, that council can repeal any policy or legislative act by a simple majority vote. So I think you could repeal that proclamation if it's put on the agenda properly. It just needs to be asked to put on the agenda the next time, Mr. Savetta, ahead of time, and it can easily be repealed by a simple majority according to the charter. I would suggest you do that. And council, except for Mr. Bariak, I'm disgusted with you.
Amen.
Terry, you constantly beat us down with we're a vocal minority. You realize how many 330 votes are? That's 23% of the citizens of this town that signs those petitions. 23%. That's a lot of people. You all just disenfranchised 23% of the people. Guess what? You passed it. Joe, get ready to go to court because we've got an attorney. We're going to file an injunction. And we're going to stop your emergency ordinance. And it's going to come real fast. You asked for it. You're going to get it. We're not going to take it.
That's right.
And Anna, don't get too quick about accepting those bonds because we got a referendum out on those also. Because we are the people, the government is for the people, and it's going to start being by the people. me tell you, when the people come looking for somebody and the riots start, you don't know. I moved my son into downtown Cleveland 3 days after the riots. You don't know the damage that was done up there if you didn't see it with your own eyes. I saw it. Let me tell you, it would scare the hell out of you if you see what they actually did. If they come here and do that, there'll be nothing left. But let me tell you, if they do come, I'm putting you to your doorstep first.
Dave Hanson, 4365 Warren Road. I want to clarify Mr. Conrad Kropp's remarks about.
Come on, Mayor.
Go ahead. Look, buzzing into the meeting without a mask. Everyone was told to come to the mask. Greg has. He is not UPI. He is not AP. He's got a podcast. Okay? So what? I can have a podcast. I can have a podcast. The second thing is, as far as the statues go, making inference or reference to Hitler with Benjamin Franklin, George Washington. There's something different in this town.
Oh, yes. Just because he's in bed with the council on it.
You won't be here in August either.
You can't do that. You won't.
Motion to adjourn.
Executive session.
Motion for executive session.
I don't know if he's done, Tim.
He's done now. 265, 3 items.
Cheap.
I don't even know what to say. I got a couple of things to say. You gotta get read this contract. You straight up lie. It's 360 to 480 calendar days. It says that on the contract. So you said 360. You forgot to mention the 480 day part. You said 360. Second of all the whole statute. Last time I was checked, I was still the chairman of Parks and Rec. You would think if we were renaming a park and accepting proclamations of cities or of statues, that somebody on Parks and Rec would have been notified. You want to say something? Go ahead. I'm going to say something a little bit.
Mr. Stinson,
Yes.
you're being rudely interrupted.
No,
Keep these guys down, he has the floor.
No. It just blows my mind. Again, I brought this when we were still in the city building. If we have parks, or if we have commissions, you would think that we would take the input from the commissions and then bring it back to city council and make decisions. That is yet to happen. I know we have a planning and zoning meeting scheduled for tomorrow. You have yet to have a Parks and Rec meeting. I spoke to you, I don't even know how long ago, and we talked about it. I think it was on the phone, correct? The answer is yes. So, this was it was self-motivating for Mr. Lynch. He's all over the news right now, all right? He is no good for our city.
You need to, when you go into executive session, do something, all right? Do something in his review, because it's not good. I know that we want to sit up here, and I forget which one of you addressed Facebook today. But normally, we're on the complete opposite side of that. I believe it was you, Terry. Right? Normally, we don't take Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. There's a reason I'm not on Facebook. Because it's nothing but,
I can't respond to it.
I know. But it's nothing but problems. But when it's in a positive light, all of a sudden now we want to spin it. You can't have it both ways, ladies and gentlemen. You can't. You either have to take it or you don't take it. It's good with that and run it. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Anything else?
Sarah Hawkins, East Liberty, or East River, I'm sorry. Involving the proclamation, do you realize that this news has reached Jerusalem? And do you know what kind of damage that could do to our city if somebody were to come in and start riots? Who's going to keep our children safe? Or our elderly? I know for a fact my mom cannot outrun some kind of protester coming after her. My children? I'm sorry. I want to protect my family. And I'm sure many people in this room want to. And for Mr. Hanson, those of us that don't have a mask on may have a medical reason. Where's your doctorate?
Hello, Bruce Moore, 348 East Broad. I have serious concerns about this proclamation. History is written by the victors, and many times history is portrayed inaccurately. We are now undergoing an examination of our own values, right, as a nation. And what people believed before are, through examination, being reassessed, and we are finding that we were taught the wrong stuff. You know, the stuff we learned in school, my mom and apple pie and everything else, it's not the way it was. When we choose to do something like this without the backing of our community, we are putting people at risk, both economically and physically. Please take those into consideration. This proclamation is wrong, and history will judge the people who support it as being grossly in error. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, if not, closing remarks. Start off with the first ward council person. Do you have anything, Mr. Zedek? Mr. Barnett?
Here's just a couple of things tonight. I was voted in to represent all the people, whether they be Republican, Democrat, whatever, to be inclusive, not divisive. Right now, people are watching us. Industry is watching us. Our elected officials are watching us, the ones that get us the money comes from. And now the world is watching us. What I will say is this: the people will speak soon and in November, because I feel it's not a different about right or wrong right now. It's letting the people speak. And I'm a firm believer in let the people speak. As a matter, because number one, it's your money, not mine. I'm your servant. You don't serve me, I serve you. Thank you.
Mr. Waddell?
Yeah, sometimes you have to watch how you say things, but I guess I've always been pretty straightforward and I'm not shy to speak. Mr. Clausen, thank you so much for bringing business into town. I've spent the last 11 years doing different things, trying to bring business into town, and we had nothing to do with you coming into town, thank goodness there. You did on your own, and I appreciate that. But it's always nice to see people wanting to come into town and disagree with us. Mr. Stenson, you're absolutely right. We need to use our committees as we have set them up. The things that we're doing in the parks, there's no reason we can't run those through the committees and have their input on that. I agree with you. We should be doing that. The issue with the statues and that, I'm not a real big fan of a lot of the statues and that. My wife and I went to Europe with another group and another couple, and we went to Scotland and they went to see the Berlin Wall. So it was down, and why did they want to go see where the Berlin Wall used to be? I don't know. This is a small community. This isn't a big town, and there's a lot of things going on all over the country, right, wrong, or indifferent. There's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of people in this town. If you don't agree with them, then you're against them, then you're anti. And we are elected to do the things we think are best for this community. And the problem is, with a lot of the people that are complaining right now, is you're standing up here, grandstanding, talking at the mics, doing all those kind of things, making people, stirring them up, keeping them, out there. And the one guy who just spoke, who's stirring everybody up and trying, he wants you to go out there and do his dirty work. Here's his petition. Him and his wife signed it. That's the only thing he did to help the petition. There's 2 signatures on it. So he wants you to do all his dirty work. The other thing is you're getting an attorney to fight the city. Yeah, you're fighting the law director's contract, and I'll guarantee you, you're paying $185, $250 an hour for an attorney to fight the city, and you're fighting the contract for the law director, who we are now going to be paid $32.21 an hour. That's what that contract pays our law director, $32.21 an hour for a law director. That is embarrassing, and that's a shame. It really is. I told the law director many years ago, when you go over your allotted time and you're supposed to charge $125 an hour for the 27 calls a day you get from a councilman, you should be charging that. You're going to get yourself in trouble somewhere down the road because you chose not to do that. And I appreciate he does it because it would cost the city a lot of money for some of those things. But that contract with the health care pays him $32.21 an hour. I dare you to go find an attorney that'll work for $32 an hour. That's what the problem is. Most of the people that are out here fighting against what we're doing don't have any knowledge of what they're talking about and what the contracts are about and what the AMIs are about. I don't mind if you object. You just ask for the facts. That's all I ask you to do. Get the facts before you start making, a big hoopla out there because you don't know the facts, and that's the problem. I could be willing to bet, go ask some of the people on those petitions I know have stopped at the house and said, hey, what was this about? The only reason I signed it was because I didn't want to argue with the person who was soliciting the petition. And that's a lot of people that do that. The petitioners didn't know what they were soliciting. They couldn't answer the questions to start with. The people signing the petitions don't know what they're signing for because they don't understand what the law director's contract's about. They don't understand what the MI project's about. Educate yourself and you might be just a little more interested in what we're doing instead of fighting with everything. Get the facts, ask us, we'll tell you the facts. You might think we're lying to you, but I have always, since I've been in office, I've held up a document and showed you the document where I got my information from. And it's not from some activist who says, oh, my meter might blow up because anything can do that. Or it's not from some activist who says there's radio waves out there doing something. Let's deal with the facts. If you want to oppose what we're doing, I don't have a problem with that. That's your right. Everybody should be able to do that. But do it based on the facts, not on supposition and innuendos, allegations, accusations, and false information. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Alvarez. Oh, that's right. Sorry about that.
Well, for those who stayed behind, thank you. We appreciate that. Address a couple of things. Our folks who were criticizing us, which that's the right to do, have left, unfortunately. And the message in church yesterday was it's okay to disagree. I have no malice or hatred toward anybody who disagrees with me, because I'm not always right, and they're not always right. But when it gets to the point where a false narrative has bubbled up and bubbled up and bubbled up, before you know it, as the scripture teaches us, the lie becomes the truth. And people believe it, and believe it, and believe it. So a couple things hopefully I'll address real quick. Brian Scott has left the building, so Brian, you probably listened to me on Facebook or whatever. Ms. King did send me the link for my email address. I did click on that link. I assumed it was working. If not, my email is talmarini@ussafetygear.com. Anybody's welcome to use it. As far as that goes, Mr. Lawanawantsu made the comment that I think he said beat him down about 23% or something like that. That's not my nature to do that to people. I don't talk that way. There's 3,000 voters in Newton Falls. The last time I checked my math, 23% is probably about, 1/4 of those voters. And, I respect their right to do what they have to do. But let's not lose sight of the debate, what's going on here. City council here, if we did just 1/4 of the things we're accused of, we'd all be in jail. And we're not. I heard you have your own personal agenda. I've heard comments like you're lining your pockets. What do we make on city council, Ms. Anna, a month? $300 a month? Before taxes. And, I'm not complaining about that, because something, when you do a job like this, it's mostly voluntary. Myself personally, on some of the websites, you see the comments like Terry Albert's lining his pockets from the city council job, blah, 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 blah. I'm so tired of hearing that stuff. So tired of hearing it. Anything but true. I still say we live in a great community. I love being here in Newton Falls. The people are great. But, we agree to disagree sometimes. And I have no hatred or malice or angst against anybody who disagrees with me. There's Brian out there now who doesn't, whatever. So I know one thing, I'm not always right in my opinions. And I just ask, though, that you respect my opinion as much as I respect you. I'm not up here about throwing darts at people and making people look bad. I made a comment a couple weeks ago that, I see all the good things that people do in Newton Falls, and I'm astounded that no good deed sometimes goes unpunished here. Why is that? Why is that culture here? We are so intent on hurting somebody, and maiming somebody, and making them look bad. I don't understand that. With that being said, I wish you all a great evening. Be blessed, you and your families. Stay safe, and as our moms used to tell us, this soon will pass. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to start off first off by again congratulating Colosimo's, Mr. and Mrs. Colosimo's. Big night for you guys, and I do apologize to your daughter. She came here to witness a big night for you guys, and it's disappointing some of the things that went on. I do thank the individuals here that you were respectful, and you don't have to agree with myself or anybody else here, but you handle yourself appropriately, and conflict is a good thing. I took a class on one time, if conflict is handled properly, not only do we come to a better conclusion, but when it's all said and done, God is glorified. Looking at the individuals on council as well as the individuals over here, each individual has a part, each individual has a role. As I've said before, it's similar to a body. And I commend each individual up here. When I was not up here, there were different individuals here that I would question, and I sat in the seats, and each meeting I probably questioned or scrutinized a different part, so it was equal. But I do have respect for each of these individuals up here. They all have their own personalities, which is a good thing, because our meetings would be really boring if we were all cookie cutters and we were all the same. But I do appreciate and respect each other, because I know that they're out for the best for the community. such as thinking of myself, I've said before, I bleed orange and black. I've lived here most of my life. I raised my kids here, my grandkids, and I love Falls even more than Terry Alberini because he came from that ugly town that wears purple. But I went further. What I said about parts, you know, I had my role. There are some things here that I've went on the whim, you could say, or whatever, or went flying. I had to spend a lot of time brushing up on the charter, spend a lot of time brushing up on rules of conduct and different things that contracts and stuff. But I study and I read each of these items. I'm not tooting my horn. I'm not a person that brags. I really don't even like attention. I like to run a meeting where as laid back as possible, and I probably let individuals get away with a lot more than any mayor before. You know, I don't know if people have been here for decades or whatever, you should probably attest to that. You know, I try to, I don't like to throw somebody out, I don't like to yell, I don't like to, it's not me. But with that being said, I'm not an individual that comes down and oversteps my boundaries. There's ways that the council is ran, and I make sure that we operate that way. The gentleman that is left in the back, I hated telling him no. I hated telling Mr. Stinson no that you can't have your second. You know, that's just the rules I follow on, and when I try to follow them to a T. But with again, I don't plan to or mean to pick on Mr. Crop out there, but I will though. But you know, I would say I take offense to saying you disappear this and that because it's, like I said, it's, you know, a job that people ask me, you don't mind getting yelled at, you don't mind doing this, but you know what, there are tough things and somebody has to do it. You know, so I really do. I try my best as well as each individual is here, but I'm not breaking the rules, I'm making sure that the council is following. And as a group, I know that we're going to perform the things to our best of our abilities, what we think is best for the whole community. You know, and I'm not downplaying yourselves here, not just the best for 30 that are here, or 40 that are here, but the best for 5,000. That's what we try to do. And not maybe necessarily the best today. There are some things that we voted on over last month. There are some things that we voted on over the last month or two when we passed. And it seems like there's been a lot of money spent. But I can promise that in the long haul, we will save money with these items. There are certain things such as this building here. You know, we've talked about, I'll use it for example, the cost with the building cost compared to different real estate that we have here, different things that we're not going to have to repair, different buildings that we're able to not use, moving people in here, that the cost of this building isn't much more than the cost of the expensive repairs of some of the other facilities. And that's one of the things that I mean that sometimes you have you know, I remember having a 1974 Grand Parade, and the thing, it didn't look that great, but it ran great. But the thing about it, at some point in time, when the repairs became more expensive than buying new, then it became cheaper to have a monthly payment. And that's sometimes things don't seem that way, but I can promise you that we're each here for the best of the community. That's all I have. Mr. Fritz, you have anything?
No, sir.
City Manager?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's make a motion to go into executive session. Yes.
I'd like to talk to the law director for a second. Well, I want to ask him about this executive session, if I could, please.
Motion's on the floor.
Seconded.
Yes, okay.
For the purpose of?
Yeah, what is the purpose of
I'd like to be excused. I don't feel good. I have a serious family problem, and I'd like to be excused from executive session. Would that be all right?
Thank you, fine, Mr. Boyer.
Thank you. As long as it's legal. I have a pressing family problem.
Thank you, Mr. Boyer.
Thank you.
What was the reasons again for the executive session? Okay, that's the only thing we have on it?
Okay, roll call?
Sabet?
Yes.
Alberini?
Yes.
Waddell?
Yes.
Raymeyer? Bariak?
Ken?
With the tribute. Laura. Laura, last name.
N-E-I, H-E-I-S-E-O.
Oh, you're getting free. Thank you. That was well said. I didn't think I'd meet anybody.